Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm ESL teacher Lisa. Today we're going to talk about speaking confident English. There are some common myths and misconceptions about becoming a fluent and confident speaker. So we're actually going to listen to a podcast. We're going to listen to some advice from Annemarie from Speak Confident English. She also is a public speaking coach. And I like some of the tips that she shares, so we're going to listen to those tips in podcast form so you can actually practice your listening at the same time. But some of the things that we will listen to is the fact that you need to pause to organize your thoughts. English really is a language that doesn't need to be spoken quickly. I know some Americans do speak quickly, but it's really a language to be spoken very carefully and slowly. You don't need to speed through while speaking English. Also, you need to be actively seeking clarification, and this will help build confidence. So let's listen to the podcast. Any questions or comments you can leave below.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah,
You know we love to bust those myths about speaking English.
absolutely.
And today we are going to tackle some big ones about fluency and confidence.
Definitely.
Now, I always say,
Mm-hmm.
to get fluent, you got to speak more.
It's so true.
That means look for opportunities to speak.
Yeah,
Increase that talk time.
I love that.
And to help us with all this,
Mm-hmm.
we have insights from Annemarie, an English confidence and fluency coach. And get this,
Okay.
she had to overcome these myths herself while learning English as a second language.
Oh, wow.
And now she helps others do the same.
That's amazing. What's so interesting is she really focuses on that idea that confidence isn't something you're born with, it's a skill. You develop it over time. It's not a personality trait. It's easy to see someone like your husband,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
a natural extrovert, and think, oh, they were just born confident.
Right.
But like you said, he's had to work at it too.
He has. And it really goes to show that anyone can be a confident speaker. It's not limited to certain personality types.
Exactly. And Anne-Marie's a perfect example. She's built a successful coaching career, even though she describes herself as shy and introverted.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
It challenges the assumption that you have to be outgoing to be confident.
it really does. And it's encouraging for those who might feel like they're naturally quiet or reserved.
Definitely. So how does she suggest introverts approach building confidence in speaking?
Well, she has this really interesting technique where she encourages introverts to use their natural tendencies to their advantage.
Oh, I like that.
So instead of feeling pressured to jump right into conversations, she recommends taking time to gather your thoughts, almost like mentally rehearsing or having a little script ready, especially in situations they can anticipate.
That makes so much sense, especially for things like meetings or presentations.
Exactly.
You really prepare beforehand.
Yeah.
But what about those times when you can't plan ahead, like a spontaneous conversation?
Oh, I know those can be tricky.
Yes.
Anne-Marie has a solution for that too.
Okay, tell me.
She suggests using what she calls strategic pauses, even in casual conversations.
Interesting.
It's not about awkward silence, but using phrases like, give me a moment to think, to collect your thoughts without losing the flow.
Okay, I see. So it's like a way to buy yourself some time
Exactly.
while still sounding natural and engaged.
Precisely.
That's a great tip.
Mm.
But doesn't pausing all the time make your speech sound choppy or slow?
That's a common concern, and it brings us perfectly to another myth Anne-Marie debunks.
All right, let's hear it.
The myth that fluent English always has to be fast English.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely heard that one.
Right.
Yeah.
But in reality, fluency is about clarity and smooth communication, not racing through your sentences.
I remember she actually demonstrated this in one of her talks where she tried to speak super fast and it ended up sounding jumbled and chaotic,
I can imagine.
like the opposite of clear communication.
Exactly. Her point was that fluency comes from being in control of your speech, not from speaking at lightning speed.
So it's not about speed, then. How do we achieve that effortless, smooth delivery that we associate with fluency?
Anne-Marie uses this great analogy. She says, think of your speech like a river. You don't want it to be a raging torrent. You want it to flow smoothly and steadily.
I love that.
And one of the key techniques she teaches for achieving that flow is using strategic pauses.
You mean like actually stopping mid-sentence?
Yes, but strategically.
Okay.
It's about taking a breath, giving yourself a moment to think, and even using those pauses to emphasize certain words or phrases.
That's so interesting. When I think about really captivating speakers, they do that. They're masters of the pause.
Exactly. They use it to create drama, to build anticipation, and to let their message sink in.
Right?
It's a powerful tool, and it's something you can start practicing right away. Just listen to how speakers you admire use pauses in their talks or podcasts.
Good point.
You'll be amazed at the impact it has.
Okay, so we've tackled the myths that confident speakers are born, not made, and that fluency is about speed, not clarity.
Right.
But what about the idea that confident speakers never ask for help?
Oh, that's a big one.
Isn't that a sign of weakness?
Annemarie actually sees it very differently.
Okay.
She believes that asking for clarification is a sign of active listening and genuine engagement.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
When you ask for clarification, you're showing that you're invested in understanding the other person.
Absolutely. And it shows you're actively participating in the conversation.
Right, which is so important in any communication, but especially in English-speaking cultures.
Exactly.
Where clear communication is so valued.
Precisely. And here's a practical tip from Annemarie. Don't be afraid to practice asking for clarification, even in comfortable settings. It could be as simple as, would you mind repeating that? Or, can you give me an example?
Those are such useful phrases to have in your back pocket.
They are.
And you can use them in so many situations, from work to family gatherings.
Absolutely. It's about feeling comfortable, seeking clarity when you need it.
And being in control of your communication.
Exactly. And it's fascinating how Annemarie really emphasizes creating safe spaces for practice.
Oh, yeah.
It seems so basic, but I think a lot of language learners really struggle with this.
It's true. I know I've definitely felt that pressure to perform perfectly when speaking English, especially in professional settings.
Exactly.
It can be so intimidating.
It can be paralyzing.
Yeah.
But Annemarie highlights the need to change how we view mistakes. Instead of seeing them as failures, we need to see them as opportunities to learn.
Right. It's about shifting our perspective.
Exactly.
So can you talk a bit more about these safe spaces?
Absolutely.
What do they look like?
Annemarie suggests finding environments where you feel comfortable experimenting with the language, where you're not afraid to stumble or make mistakes. This could be a language exchange group, a conversation class,
Yeah.
or even just practicing with a friend who's also learning English.
So it's about finding a space where you can relax and let go of that need to be perfect.
Exactly. Just focus on communicating.
Even if it's messy sometimes.
Exactly. And Annemarie herself is a big advocate for making mistakes.
Real.
She often tells her students, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning.
I love that.
Right.
It takes the pressure off.
It does. It's like giving yourself permission to be a beginner,
Yeah.
to experiment and learn from those stumbles.
And it aligns with research on language acquisition. Making mistakes is a crucial part of the learning process.
Absolutely. It helps us identify areas where we need to improve.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like that saying, we learn more from our failures than our successes.
Exactly.
But it's especially true for language learning.
It is. And Annemarie doesn't just encourage making mistakes. She also provides strategies for handling them gracefully.
Oh, like what?
Remember those phrases we discussed earlier, like what I meant to say was, or let me rephrase that.
Yes. Those are so helpful.
They are. It's about acknowledging the mistake, correcting yourself if needed, and moving on.
Without getting flustered.
Exactly. It's about developing those self-correction skills.
Yeah.
Which are essential for fluent communication.
Because even native speakers make mistakes all the time.
All the time. It's part of being human.
Right. We're all human.
Exactly. And sometimes as language learners, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect.
Too much pressure.
Yeah, and it can actually hold us back.
I think you're right. And this brings us to another important aspect of Annemarie's approach. Self-compassion.
Yes. Being kind to yourself throughout the process.
I can already hear some listeners thinking, self-compassion? What does that have to do with speaking English?
It might seem unrelated, but it's actually crucial for building confidence.
Okay.
Annemarie believes that when we criticize ourselves for every little mistake, we create a negative cycle.
That makes sense.
And it can really sabotage our progress.
So instead of beating ourselves up, we should be celebrating our efforts and acknowledging how far we've come.
Exactly. And recognizing that learning a language takes time and effort.
It's a journey.
It is. There will be ups and downs.
For sure.
But it's important to be patient with ourselves and celebrate those small victories along the way.
This reminds me of something I was struggling with recently. I was preparing for a presentation in English, and I kept getting stuck on certain phrases.
Oh, no.
And I was so frustrated with myself.
I've been there.
I started to doubt my ability to even deliver the presentation.
That's so relatable. We all have those moments of self-doubt. So what did you do?
Well, I remembered something Annemarie had said about reframing negative thoughts.
Oh, that's great.
So instead of focusing on my mistakes, I started focusing on the progress I had made
Love it.
and the effort I was putting in. I even made a list of all the things I was doing well.
That's a great idea.
It really helped boost my confidence.
I love that. You basically created your own safe space
I did.
by changing your internal dialogue.
It was a good reminder that our thoughts have a huge impact on our reality
They really do.
and that we have the power to choose more supportive and encouraging thoughts.
You absolutely do. And I think that's a valuable lesson for all of us, not just with language learning,
Right.
but in all areas of life.
Okay, so we've talked about safe spaces, embracing mistakes, and self-compassion.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Annemarie's giving us a whole new toolkit for approaching language learning.
She is. And what's fascinating is how these elements are all connected.
Oh yeah, how so?
When we create a safe space, we're more likely to take risks and make mistakes.
Yeah.
And when we approach those mistakes with self-compassion, we're more likely to learn from them.
Right, and keep moving forward.
Exactly. It's like a positive feedback loop
It is. Each element reinforces the others.
and creates this upward spiral of growth and confidence.
I love it.
Mm.
But before we move on, there's one more piece of Annemarie's wisdom I want to touch on.
Okay.
She talks about how our beliefs about ourselves as speakers can actually shape our reality.
Yes. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right? If we believe we're not capable of becoming fluent, we're more likely to act in ways that confirm that belief.
Exactly. And on the flip side, if we believe we are capable,
Yeah.
we're more likely to put in the effort to seek out opportunities to practice and
Right.
persevere through challenges.
So it's about cultivating a belief in ourselves
Yes.
and our ability to become fluent speakers.
Exactly. Annemarie talks about shifting our mindset from self-doubt to self-belief,
Okay.
recognizing our potential for growth and acting on that belief.
So instead of saying, I'm not a good speaker,
Mm-hmm.
we can say, I'm learning and growing every day and I'm becoming a more confident and fluent speaker.
Exactly. It's about reframing our self-talk and focusing on our strengths and potential.
And when we start to shift our internal dialogue,
Yeah,
we start to see changes in our external world.
absolutely. It's like we attract opportunities that align with our new beliefs.
It's amazing how powerful our beliefs can be.
They're incredibly powerful.
And it all starts with that internal shift.
It does, recognizing that we have the power to change the way we think about ourselves and our abilities.
This is so inspiring. It's
Yeah.
like Annemarie's giving us permission to dream big and believe in our potential.
She is, and she emphasizes that confidence is a skill, not a trait.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you develop with practice and the right mindset.
That's such an important message for anyone who's felt discouraged by the process of learning English.
Absolutely. It's about embracing the journey,
Yeah.
celebrating your progress,
Mhm.
and never giving up on yourself.
And if you're feeling lost or unsure of where to start, remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Annemarie has created tons of resources to support you on your journey,
She has.
including her training programs, online community, and website.
Yes. And you know what I love most about her approach? It's accessible to everyone.
It is.
It doesn't matter where you're starting from or what your background is.
Mm-hmm.
You have the potential to become a confident and fluent English speaker.
You know, it's amazing how she connects fluency to something much deeper than just grammar and vocab.
Yeah.
It's about mindset, self-belief, even self-compassion.
Yeah, it's like a personal development journey,
It is.
but with English speaking at its core.
And that's where her confidence-building learning cycle comes in.
Yes.
We touched on it earlier, but can you walk us through it again?
Absolutely. So it starts with learn, which is about actively seeking out knowledge and information like we're doing now with this deep dive.
Right.
But it's not passive learning.
Yeah.
It's about engaging with the material and making it your own.
So it's about taking these insights and figuring out how they apply to your own journey.
Exactly. And then comes inform, which is about using that knowledge to inform your actions. Making conscious choices about how you approach practice, how you handle setbacks,
Hey.
how you cultivate that self-belief we talked about.
So it's moving from theory to practice,
Exactly.
taking that knowledge and putting it into action.
And that leads to improve, which is all about honing your skills through consistent practice and seeking feedback.
So it could be recording yourself,
Yeah.
practicing with a partner,
Mm-hmm.
or just paying attention to your speech patterns
Exactly.
in everyday conversations.
It's about being deliberate,
Yeah.
not just going through the motions,
Right.
but really focusing on specific areas you want to improve.
Okay. And then what happens?
Well, as you go through this cycle, you start to shift beliefs.
Okay.
This is where you challenge those negative thoughts
Oh, yeah.
and limiting beliefs that might be holding you back.
Those can be so sneaky.
They really are. It's like they're whispering in your ear,
I know.
you're not good enough, or you'll never be fluent.
It's the worst.
Right. But Annemarie gives us tools for recognizing those thoughts.
Yeah.
And replacing them with more empowering beliefs.
So shifting from I can't to I'm learning.
Exactly.
From I'm not good at this
Yeah.
to I'm making progress.
And as you internalize those new beliefs, you start to build confidence.
I see. It becomes a natural part of the cycle.
It does. And that confidence then fuels your motivation for continued learning. It becomes this positive feedback loop. The more confident you feel, the more motivated you are to keep practicing.
This cycle is amazing.
Yeah.
It's not just for English. It's for personal growth, too.
Exactly. And what I love is that it highlights the importance of action. It's not about waiting to feel confident before you start speaking. It's about taking action that builds confidence.
So what's one small action our listener could take this week, inspired by Annemarie's insights?
You know what's great about Annemarie is that she offers so many practical suggestions. It could be downloading her training, joining a speaking community, finding a language partner, or even just committing to speaking English for a few minutes every day, even if it's just to yourself.
I love those ideas.
Yeah.
And remember, it doesn't have to be anything huge.
Right.
Just one small step can make a big difference. The key is to start somewhere and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And to embrace the journey with all its ups and downs, knowing that fluency isn't a destination. It's a direction.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It is.
It's about enjoying the process, celebrating those small wins, and never giving up on yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So go out there, practice with joy, embrace that journey, and remember you are capable of achieving fluency and confidence. We're cheering you on every step of the way.
We are. And we'll be back next week for another deep dive into the world of speaking English fluently and confidently. Until then, happy practicing.